One of the best, and I do admit, most challenging things real estate agents have to overcome is building long-lasting relationships with their clients. Today we're covering some of the core things you need to know when it comes to building relationships with the people that will be referring business to you forever. So let's talk about that. All right, and the first thing we need to cover when it comes to building relationships with your clients is you need to record small details. This is where Client Keeper, my CRM, becomes a huge deal because you can audio message all the details into Client Keeper and record it for you. Big deal. I've used it in my career for so many times. Those small details make the difference. Timmy's on a little league thing. Jimmy's on this. Susan's on this. Sally's this. This is their career, that career. Fido, dog, all the details make a big difference. I cannot tell you how many times we'll say surprised and delighted, and I'll mention this here in a second in a little bit, but surprised and delighted when I have my CRM, my Client Keeper, up in front of my face before I meet with clients, and I go through my details. What are the dog's name? What are the cat's name? What's important to them? Where do they move from? What is going to be the goals of their life? All the conversations that are important into building a relationship with your clients can be documented on Client Keeper. But the nice thing is that you can go through that and kind of refresh those details. This way you kind of seem like a boss when you're actually talking with your clients again. That's one nice thing that I do admit has gotten me a lot of referrals. At least my opinion is that having digesting the information again, going back to them, an hour later or right before I meet with them and be like, how's Susan? How's her this? Oh my gosh, thank you for asking because this. So many times I've gotten referrals from those clients, not necessarily me asking like, hey, do you have, since I remembered your daughter Susan's name, can you refer me out? No, that's not how it works. But just building that deeper relationship is monumental in real estate. Real estate often starts as a sales thing and quickly morphs into a relationship thing. It originally starts as sales because they're kind of interviewing you and they're looking for potential, like I said, reviews or seeing if you're the best fit for the job. And then once they make that decision, your job as an agent is to build that relationship, move from sales into relationship that will pay you dividends. And knowing those small details about their life is a game changer. And the second way to actually build meaningful relationships with your clients is going back to what I said before, surprise and delight. Surprise and delight. Oftentimes, I will ask questions about my clients, whether it's like about the things they like, the drinks or this or that, or there's so many opportunities, especially if you're working with buyers potentially, you're showing them a lot of property, you get to know them, what's important to them. When it comes to small things like do they like Diet Coke or do they like Coke? What kind of drinks do they bring? What kind of candy do they like? So these are all things that you can collect and again put into Client Keeper that when it comes to like surprise and delight moments, you have all that data right inside of Client Keeper, of course, but the way that you can then say, oh, by the way, like here's a basket of all the goodies that, for your closing docs. It has all their candy, all the this, all the that. And sometimes what I've done before is actually have like an onboarding packet and you ask some of those core questions. Now, it might be a little bit obvious what you're trying to do there, and that's fine. But when you start having those conversations and you're able to get more of that interesting data, that relationship building data, that is when it becomes a surprise and delight. I've seen a lot of agents go above and beyond when it comes to, if a client mentions something they wish they could do and then they figure out a way to do that for them because they're well connected into the town or city. So there's so many options and I cannot give you so many ideas because it really is limitless, is having the mentality of okay, if I want to surprise and delight my clients, ask specific questions and you'll probably get into a rhythm of what you like to do. There's things you can accomplish and not accomplish. Like if you're not well connected to your area, then that's fine. But you can buy them their special favorite candy and you can, make sure you have this available and that available, or that you can have a whatever. Just have a mentality of surprise and delight and I promise you can come up with 3 or 4 or 5 different things in a sitting that will really surprise and delight your clients. Whoa. Before we jump on to the next point, I put together a weekly newsletter only focused on things you care about in real estate. And we only talk about 3 specific things: how to get more leads, how to duplicate your client base, and how to close on more homes. This is truly a newsletter with insights from insiders. So if you want to make 6 figures in real estate and grow your business at the same time, this is the best newsletter for you. And it's also my favorite 4-letter F word. Free! So enter your information below, name, email, and make sure you get that newsletter every single week. And the third way that you can build meaningful relationships with your clients is putting yourself in their shoes. And I usually reference this to negotiation. Now, what I mean by this is oftentimes we battle of getting a house under contract, obviously to get commission. We know this. That's what we do. That's our job. That's how we get paid, obviously. There's that. Then the other side is trying to negotiate the best deal possible for your clients. And there's the other side is that sometimes you just need to, it's better for them just to get into the house and start life. So you kind of have these three, and not really negotiate. So you kind of have these three things mixing up all the time. Sometimes it's like, hey, we need to move along. You need to get a house and start this process. Cool. And sometimes they need to negotiate hard because, there's issues with the house or it's been on the market for a long time or whatever the case is. And then there's your commission baked in there. When there's been a lot of times, or even for instance, there's been one time where I was going on a listing appointment and they had a kind of, I would consider a starter home, and they were like, hey, we're looking about selling. What are your thoughts about this? And I was like, hey, actually, you got a job. Have you got a job promotion recently? I said, yeah, actually, we actually almost like doubled their income. Great, that's awesome. How about this? How about instead of you selling this, you go ahead and actually keep this as a rental, and then we go ahead and buy another house in about 6 months to a year. And they actually loved that idea because they kind of had an idea about that, but they weren't sure. So what they actually told me later was the fact that that was actually the point that they realized that I'm their agent for life, because I sacrificed my commission of them selling and buying versus, hey, let's actually make a good financial choice here versus you selling 2 homes. Let's just keep this. Obviously, I'm kind of giving up my commission, but this is probably a better financial choice. If you can do this, let's set you up for the future. And then you hold on to this asset, you put your renters in here, then you go buy a different house. And here's a lender that can work this place out that we can then leverage the potential, the rental amount against your new mortgage, and we kind of wash each other out. So I was very clear about that, but they loved that, like for life. So having those times where I say, put yourself in their shoes. If I put myself in my shoes, I'd have been like, let's sell this house, I'll grab the commission, blah, 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 blah. Go over here, do this, grab the commission. Great, we're awesome. No, put yourself in their shoes as though it is you and what you would do. And that's when you will gain clients for life, because people aren't stupid. And so when you start putting yourself in their shoes and helping them make better choices and helping them down the right path, that's when you really truly build relationships. And the fourth and final way to build relationships with your clients is honestly after the transaction. Now, this is probably the thing I struggle the most with, and most agents do, is after the deal is done and everything happens, to then continue to follow up, to be their friend, to be the relationship. Most relationships are built after the transaction, not even necessarily before. Before, it's a lot of sometimes tension or annoyance because the buyer or seller or this or that. Now, obviously, if a seller is moving out of state, that's up to you if you want to continue that relationship. Sometimes they're well connected to the area and it's businessy well worth it for you to keep that relationship. Totally up to you. But if they're just jumping around the area and you want to maintain that relationship, asking how the house is doing, how's this going on? Don't forget that your water heater is 15 years old. If here's a good plumber, don't forget to be that real estate agent, pure and simple. There's a lot of emphasis on marketing and sales and Facebook ads and leads and all the different things. You can do so little of that. If that is not your thing and you don't care about that, you can do so little of that if you have a group of your core clients that you just follow up with consistently. They will be your advocates forever. So if you don't want to necessarily spend all the money on ads and all the different stuff, if you just maintain good relationships with your clients after the houses, you will be golden. I promise you that. Relationships are built after the transaction. So maintaining that relationship, asking how things are going. It is challenging, and I do admit, and this is where I get annoyed, but I know what it's for, because this relationship is they'll ask you certain things that you have to do work for. Like you're working after the transaction. But the way to see it is that if it's truly a exchange relationship for you, I totally get it. Exchanging work for this. If you're going to be doing work for them because they're going to ask you certain things, you're going to be doing this, and how about this, and there's going to be issues with the house. What do you recommend for that? So I get it. I understand. It's annoying. But the thing about it is that you are doing work for the future referrals from them. So keep that in mind. I know it's tough, but most relationships are built after transactions.